Hello, I'm Graham Horton and welcome to this video. This is a product review for the brand new IT32 system from Godox. This flash system really does redefine portable flash exposure with the compact size, fully auto TTL exposure, giving you perfect exposures even in varying lighting conditions, with also 2.4 gigahertz separated wireless triggering, first and second curtain flash sync, built-in modeling light, a lot of features that you will only find on pro level equipment. So I really look forward to showing you all the features of this particular unit. Now, it was supplied to me by a company called Instro to review for you, but as with all my reviews, they are fully independent. I don't take scripts. I can't be told what to say or what I can't say. If there are any issues with products, then you get to hear about them in this video. The customer, Instro in this case, has not seen this video before you are seeing it. So let's have a very close look at this model and how it fits in with the rest of the Godox series of flash units. So here we can see the IT32 iFlash camera flash system. This is the actual unit. The unit by the side of it is what I call the personality module, and that's the TTL trigger. In this case it's the X5S, and that is the variant for Sony cameras. You can also get these for Nikon, Fuji, Olympus Panasonic and Canon, and I believe that Godox are now developing a Leica variation of this, so you'll be able to use the IT32 flash body with a Leica trigger. So these personality modules combine with the IT32 flash to give you a dedicated camera system. The iFlash can be used as a standalone flash without the X5, and you can use it as a receiver just the same as you can with any other X series of flash heads. Combine that with the X5 trigger and you can use this as a sender and a receiver master flash unit. So let's combine the two together, show you how that works, and I'll show you over the features of the IT32 flash. So when you unbox this product, you see you've got a nice presentation box for it. Open that up and you'll find the main component here, which is the IT32 iFlash unit. Remove this from the box and you'll find there is a lower compartment. In the lower compartment you will find the user manual, but I do suggest you download the advanced manual from the Godox website, and you'll find that link as a QR code in the basic manual. You also find in the base of this unit the accessories which come with this flash unit. So you'll find in here, first of all, a cold mount shoe, which has got the standard 1/4 threaded mount in the bottom, so you can mount this on a tripod or a light stand. But this is different to most of the cold shoe mounts in the fact that it has 4 magnets, and they provide adhesion to the base of the IT32 by combining that with 4 magnets in the base. So it will only fit the one way around. If you try to fit it the wrong way around, the magnets repel one another and it doesn't fit. So once you put that in place, it snaps in place. Very, very strong adhesion, and if I shake that you'll see that it will not come out. And because of the well design of this, you'll find that you can't knock it off inadvertently as well. So there's no way that you're going to knock that off your camera or off a tripod. It is held in place. Those magnets are really strong, and it does require you to pull that down straight to enable you to release it. So that is the cold mount shoe. You'll also get a flash diffuser, which is used to soften down the light from the ITT flash tube. It's got a pip on there which you place to the upper surface of the flash. Just slide that on, push it down to the bottom, and that gives you the perfect position to give you nice soft lighting from this head. We get a standard USB-A to USB-C charging lead, which also is data compatible. So if you're going to use this lead, you can do the firmware update with this as well. So it's used to charge both the internal lithium-ion battery of the IT32, and if you've got a trigger attached to it, it will charge that through the body of through the pogo pins on the bottom to charge the X5 trigger. You'll also find that you've got 2 CTO gels, and these can modify the color temperature of the flash to give you the same effect as tungsten lighting. So you've got a CT half and a CT fold, so you can vary the strength of the correction factor from those gels onto the front, magnetically attached. So you just need to plug those on front of the unit like that, and you can modify the light output from the flash unit. So a great addition. There also is, as you can see on screen, a kit available where you can have diffusers and other color gels to give you various lighting effects. So if you're into effect lighting, then that kit might be one that you want to consider buying as well. You'll also find in the box a nice soft pouch to put the flash and the softbox diffuser in there as well. So a nice pouch. So there's the total components: the soft pouch, the cold shoe mount, USB charging lead, and the 2 CTO filters. So that's the total content of the box. Let's now turn our attention to the trigger unit, the personality module if you like. This one is the X5S, dedicated for the Sony camera. So let's just undo this. So this is the actual trigger unit. On the base, again, you can see 4 magnets, which combine with the magnets in the base of the IT32 iFlash body to give you that connection through the pogo pins in the base of the unit and the appropriate pin on the bottom of this unit. On the back of the unit, we have 2 buttons marked minus and battery, plus and mode. There is a little LED here which gives you an indication as to the mode that this unit is in, and also a backup to tell you how the battery level is. By using a combination of button presses here, you can turn this LED into giving you the indication of the status of the battery in this device if you're using this remote trigger away from the camera. On the base of the unit, you'll find you've got the locking collar to lock this onto your camera, and it's provided with the protecting cover to cover the delicate pins which are on the Sony interface shoe shown here. So in combination with the IT32 body, this will just clip in place, and again, you can't put it the wrong way around. If you try to install it the wrong way around, you'll find the magnets repel each other. Turn it the right way around and you get a perfect combination. And again, this will not shake loose, and it won't inadvertently knock off because of the depth of that well in there stops it from sliding off. So great design feature there from Godox with this particular flash. Looking over the actual IT32 flash itself, we look at the front here. We've got a modeling light which can be used to provide you an indication of how the flash will cast its shadows, and it's a variable intensity one which we'll see later. We can set that from the menu. We've got a window here with a red lens on it. That's used with the S1 and S2 photocells to allow us to use this as a slave flash controlled by optical trigger rather than Wi-Fi 2.4 GHz. So that's the optical triggering for S1, S2. On the side here, you will see we've got a USB-C port that's used to charge the device and also provide firmware updates. The charging of the internal lithium-ion battery will take about 1 hour and 10 minutes from fully depleted to fully charged, and you can also charge through the device the attached X5 trigger, and I'll show you how that works again later in the video. I've also got a 2.5mm port here, and that's used for PC synchronization. So if you have an older film camera with a PC port on, again you could use this PC socket here to provide flash synchronization. On the other side, we have a knob which allows us to change some of the parameters. If I've got one criticism, that's this knob itself, which is surrounded by a plastic surround, and the knurling on this knob is very, very fine, so you've only got a very short surface area to get your finger or thumb on to adjust that knob, and you'll find that it's quite difficult at times to change the values, but there is a touch screen which you can use to overcome that feature. The head itself is fully rotatable, so you can go from down position up to 90 degrees vertical. And on the back of the unit is a scale, so you can see the angle that you've got this set to. So on the back of the unit there, we've got 45, 60, 75, 90, etc. The head itself will also pivot, and it will go from this position to 90 degrees left, and 180 degrees left. So you can do that a 270 degree rotation. So with these device, much like the TT350, which is, if you like, the big brother for this range of flashes, again you've got the 90 degree tilt upwards and the 90 degree left and 180 degrees to the rear. So you've got the same compatibility with the bigger flash. Of course, this one has a higher guide number. It's got a guide number of 36 at ISO 100 when the flash is zoomed to 105 millimeters. The guide number for the IT32 is 18 at ISO 100. So it's only half the power, if you like, of the larger TT350, but these are great with the more compact digital cameras. Something like my A7 III here, which is an ideal camera, or the ZV-E10, or your Sony RX10 Mark IV bridge camera if you want to use the flash on that. In the head you'll also find there is a pull-out wide-angle diffuser. So when that flips in place, it gives you the wide-angle zoomed effect. There's also a catch light reflector which you can store away or use. So if you're using this in the vertical mode on your camera, the light will be reflected off the ceiling, giving you a nice soft light, but the light reflected from this white card here will give you that nice catch light in the eye, which is a good portrait feature. So if you want to use that catch light, just pull that up and it's in place. Of course, with the wide angle panel diffuser you will see some light reduction, but of course being TTL it will compensate for that. And finally, on the back of this unit we have our full color LCD panel, and on the right hand side here you can see we've got 3 buttons: the menu button, the set button, the power on and off, and test button. So the 3 buttons allow us to go through the whole menu system. It's a full color display and touch sensitive, so you can use your fingers to adjust any of the values, or if you prefer to use a stylus, as this is a capacitive screen, you can then change things like the groups or the values using your touch screen. And again, you can use plus and minus to change the value, or you can scroll across the screen to change the value. You've also got the menu button here to take you through the menu. The white line on the right hand side tells you that there's an upper menu here, so if you swipe down you will see you've got other icons there which present different menu choices. So here we've got the main setup. This little icon will tell you the type of interface that you've got fitted. So at the moment there's an S on there, which means this is the Sony interface. Got value there of the model X5S. The software version is FV103, and it gives you an indication as to the charge of the battery in the trigger unit. Go back to the menu. If we press the menu again, you can go in there, scroll down, you can see we've got things like the wireless channel, so you can change the wireless channel from channel 1 up to channel 32, and if you've got ID values on your flash units to prevent multiple units going off if you're on the same channel, you can use the ID value as well. Scroll down to the menu again. Here we've got the option for this to be a receiver, on-camera flash, or a transmitter. So this will act as a transmission to control other Godox X series flash units in conjunction with the X5S trigger. It won't work on its own, it needs the X5S trigger to convert the, if you like, the commands coming from the camera through the flash unit to control the other flashes. So the personality module does all that conversion for the base on the IT32. You've also got the channel there, which is mentioned, and you've also got the option here of setting groups if you wanted to. Here's the modeling light. With the modeling light turned on, you can see the modeling light on the desk, and you can vary the brightness. And if you've got the interset, then when you press the flash or take a flash picture, during that flash exposure the modeling light will go off and then come back again at the end of the exposure, so it will not combine with the flash to give you exposure, so the intermittent light will stay off when you're taking a flash. The last option on there, you can actually lock the screen so you can prevent inadvertently touching the screen, is the total setup menu. So if you press that, you've got things like the trigger distance, whether you're going to be using it from 0 to 30 meters to 1 to 100 meters. The S1, S2 option, so off, it will not use the optical photocell. S1, it will fire on the first pulse seen by the flash. S2 will ignore that first pulse and go on the second pulse, so it would, if you like, suppress TTL pre-flash. And then you've got the TCM, which converts TTL to manual, the standby time, the auto off time, the screen display standby time, screen brightness. New agreement is only available if you've got the X5S attachment, and that allows you to use this with cameras that don't have full compatibility. The power up setting, boot menu settings, that's a useful one, because when you turn this flash off, when you turn it on, normally it asks you to scroll the screen, but you can change it to the method that I've got here, which brings up the screen straight away. So let me just demonstrate what happens in that setup. So if we just scroll through there, so you can either use the dial at the side to move you through. So the boot up settings, press set to go into that menu, unlock at boot up, turn that on, back to the menu. Now if I turn the flash off, when I turn it on, it's going to ask me to slide the screen up or rotate the dial. You've got to do that fairly slowly, otherwise it doesn't see your finger movement. So for that reason, I decided to go into the menu, go up to the setup, and then scroll along to the boot up settings, press set to get into the menu and turn that off. Back to the menu, turn it off, and when we turn it on, just press no for 2 seconds, it brings you directly into the shooting screen ready for you to go. There's also, if we just go back into that setup, the language, which is currently English or Chinese, the factory reset, which obviously puts it back to the factory default conditions, and device info, which tells you your device info, which is the model IT32, and the current firmware version, if you like, is version 1.14. That's the current one at the time of recording, and if you wanted to update yours, then you use the Godox G3 software on your computer to upload the new firmware to the device. So let's have a look at this on camera, and I'll show you some of the features in the menu you may want to set up to give you the best flash photography. Whilst the X5 trigger is attached to the IT32 iFlash body, you can see here we've got the on-camera flash and the S, which denotes a Sony personality module, if you like. If I remove the trigger unit, you'll notice that this now becomes a receiver module. So when I remove the trigger, the IT32 base automatically becomes a receiver module. You can see the, if you like, the Wi-Fi waves are pointing into the device, which this is now a slave unit for the Godox system. That does mean you can use the IT32 trigger on camera and fire your flash remotely, or you can trigger this from anything of the X series devices. So here I've got an X1 Pro, which is the S version, which I use with the Sony cameras, but I have the Canon system and I use that with the Canon cameras, and that will fire the IT32. Even though this is no specific brand, it will fire it using the X system, which is the beauty of this device. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to use the X5 to control other flash units. Ideally it is a communication between the camera body and the IT32, but you can use it in group A in manual mode to be able to control your flashes manually by using the buttons on the back of here to set the power levels. I'll show you that at the end of this video. So with the flash attached to the camera, just need to install that on the flash and we have our system ready to go. So again, you can use the bounce or swivel flash to how you want to take your pictures. If we look on the back of the camera now, because the interface has now set the flash exposure, you can see that the exposure has been set to 1/60th of a second. On the back of the flash, it's now turned into on camera flash, so you can see that symbol there means on camera flash, which means if we go into the channel, you can define which channel this unit will be on. If you're going to use it on camera flash, it really doesn't matter what channel you're on, it will automatically pair itself with the base to provide you with communication. If you are going to use this in other groups, then you would set the group according to how you want your flash units to work. So you can see here, I've just set that to channel 3 and the ID is turned off. If we swipe down, you can see we've got the option here to have manual, strobe flash or TTL. So let's just leave it in TTL mode. So with TTL mode, if we go back to the main screen, you can see we've got now the option to change the exposure compensation. That's flash exposure compensation between -3 EV and +3 EV, so you can set the flash exposure compensation. I believe with the Canon system you might be able to do that directly from the camera through the Canon setup menu, but it's not available as far as I'm aware on the Sony or other cameras, so it's a Canon feature only. So with the TTL mode, you can see the scale at the bottom will give you an indication as to how far the flash will operate. So it's going from 0.5 of a meter up to just under 4 meters. So it will give you an indication of the amount of power available on the flash with your current set aperture, shutter speed and ISO, etc. Along the top you've got the icons, which will give you an indication as to the personality module you've got, the mode that you're in, whether the flash head is up, you can see the little arrow is showing you up, and the battery status of the internal battery. If you wanted to see the status of the trigger battery, then you need to go into the main screen again to go look at the information, or you can remove this and look at the LED, which I'll show you later in the video. So that is how the TTL flash will work, and some pictures on screen now. It really is a remarkable flash. A couple of pictures on screen now that I've taken using auto flash. You can see the exposures are pretty much spot on without using any flash exposure compensation. That auto flash does seem to work quite nicely. So going back to the back of the flash unit, you can see we're in TTL mode. Touch that, I can go into the manual mode, go back to the menu. You can see we've got full control here of the flash from the lowest power setting, which is 1/128. We can go all the way up to full power, which is 1/1, and again in 0.03 EV increments. So not half steps, but 0.3, a third of an increment. You can of course use the control dial at the side to set the power, but as I said, the knurling is quite fine on there, and dependent on your fingers whether you actually can control that. I prefer to use the touch screen to give me the power. You can of course use stroboscopic mode. So again, if I go into the menu and change the M to multi, go back to the screen, you can see we've got the facility to change the number of flashes and the duration between those flashes. So 3 flashes at 5 Hz increment. You are limited to the maximum power of 1/4 to prevent damage to the flash tube, and the maximum power, and the minimum power of course is 128. If you remove the body and have that separated, then you can still have it in the TTL mode, as you can see there now, and you can control the power from the back of the X5S trigger on your camera. So even this is on a light stand a few meters away, you can still control the TTL power by using the plus and the minus buttons. So if I press the plus button, you should see on the back of the display that we can increase the power, or if I use the minus button, we can decrease the power. And if I wanted to go into the manual mode without going back to the flash unit, press and hold the M button, and you can see now we've gone into the manual mode, and I can change the power again using the buttons on the back of the X5S. Automatically defers to group A, so all flashes on group A will be commanded by the X5 trigger here. If we look at the X5T trigger, if we wanted to check the trigger battery level, then if we go into the menu and scroll down, if we just tap the S module there, it will tell us the version and the battery status of the trigger. So that gives us an indication of how well the battery is charged. If the unit is off camera, then in the top of the trigger you'll find a little LED. At the moment it's orange, meaning it's disconnected. But if I wanted to check the status of the battery, if you press and hold the power button, you'll see that you'll get some series of red flashes from this LED, and if you count the flashes, that gives you the number of 25% increments that the battery is charged. So if you've got 4 flashes, you know this is 100% charged, 3 flashes will be 75% charged, etc. So I'm just going to press and hold that power button. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the battery in the trigger is 100% charged, so it gives you an indication of the battery status even if you haven't got the 2 units combined. I'd like to show you briefly now how you can use the IT32 on your camera to act as a on-camera flash and also provide control of any external flash units, be it 1, 2, 3, 4. However many flashes you want in the system, you can control using the IT32 as the master commander. Saves you buying a separate trigger to control that. You can use this from the IT32 body in combination with the personality module to convert the flash commands from the camera to the body of the flash itself. So here I've got the TT350, which is my current recommendation for anyone that wants a portable flash for their bridge cameras or mirrorless cameras. Small compact volume with a fairly high power output. It's been my recommendation since this came out in 2019, and I've got 5 of these for different systems. They're beautiful little flash units. So this one is actually the Olympus version, but we're going to trigger it from my Sony camera to show you how the S system is so versatile. So I'm just going to turn this unit on, and we can see at the moment I've got this set to channel 3, which is the channel that I've set up on the IT32, and we're in group A. So they've been defined on the flash unit here. If I go to the IT32 camera, go into the menu first of all and scroll this down. It's in the lock mode, so just press and hold that to release the lock. Go into the menu, scroll down. You can see we've got the option here to turn this from on camera flash to the sender mode. So with the Wi-Fi symbol pointing out, this can now be a sender as well as on-camera flash. To control the groups, we've got the option here of the particular channel. So here I've set channel 3, which is the channel that I've set on the external flash unit. So with that set to channel 3, come back to the main menu, you will see that in the sender mode you've got the main flash, which is the one on the camera. You've got channel A, channel B and channel C, and if you've got a Canon interface you'll find that you've got channel D. So channel D appears only on the Canon version. So here we've got channel A, B or C and the on-camera flash. At the moment the on-camera flash is turned off, so that's, if you like, is the M is on-camera flash is turned off. If I wanted that to be controlling the exposure, then if I just turn that on by pressing and holding, then I've got the TTL control, and again I can vary the power of the flash. So I'm going to set that to 0. Group A is on at the moment, so that will be the power that's applied to Group A flash. So let me set that to 0 to start with. And obviously Group B is off and C is off. Sorry, Group B is at the 32 power. I'm going to turn that to off. So at the moment we've just got the main flash set to TTL and the flash exposure compensation is 0. Group A is set to TTL with flash exposure 0. So we can see we can have the power set on the main flash, and we can have the other flash units in the system controlled with the flash exposure compensation for that particular channel and group. If I wanted to use the setup in the manual mode, then whilst we're still in the group setting here, if I wanted my group A now to be under manual control rather than TTL, if you just press and hold the center of that A channel, you can see that it changes over to a manual mode, and that's been reflected in the remote device. So if I change the power level here on the IT32, you can see that the power level is changing on the remote device. And if I just press the green button here, which is also the flash test button, you can see that we fire the remote device. Turn it back into TTL, press it once, it goes off, press it again, and that will give you the TTL value. Okay, the final thing I want to show you here is the use of the X5 trigger. Not using the IT32 unit, just using the XT trigger to command other units on the X series protocol. Here I've got the IT30 Pro, which is capable of receiving X series transmissions as a slave, and you've got the TT350, which again is set up in slave mode. So with the XT5 mounted on the camera, with the LED set to green, which means you're in the TTL mode, you can see both the IT30 and the TT350 are showing we're in the TTL mode. So if I take an exposure, both of those units will fire. If I press the plus stroke M button on the transmitter, the X5 transmitter, if I press that, you'll see that both of these will change over to the manual setting. So I turn them over, they've gone to the manual mode. Now you can't control the power directly from the transmitter. If I change the value with minus or plus, there's no change to the individual channels, but you can change these manually yourself if you've got them set up on a flash stand or something. So if I put that to full power and I change this to a 16th power, when I fire the camera, they will fire at the power levels that you set individually on each of those units. Go back into the TTL mode, so the amber light will now change back to green. Both these units have gone back into TTL mode, and the exposure will be controlled by TTL. So if I was to take another picture here using the camera, the exposure is correct using that flash. So it does work, but you have far less control of the system with the X5 as you do over something like the X Pro 1 or the X3 Pro. You've got full control over those, but here with the X5 basic trigger, you just got the basically a fire command with TTL or manual. If you wanted to use high-speed sync flash, then again you go into the menu, and if you tap the H here, which is grayed out at the moment, that puts you in the high-speed sync mode. The only option I've not found how to implement is second curtain flash. There must be something in the menu you can use to change between first and second curtain flash. Maybe that's only on the Canon variety, I'm not sure, but I haven't found that on the Sony camera. So if I get an update on that, I'll put that in the video description below. Well, that's it for my review of what I think is a fantastic flash system. This IT32 with the personality module to convert it to whatever main camera body you're using gives you a fully flexible system, and if you were to change your camera system, you only need to change the personality module and you maintain your flash system as well. So if you've got other Godox systems, flash units, then you're going to be able to use the expanded X series to control them. So links for the IT32 and the triggers will be in the video description below. Thank you to Instro once again for sending out these products for me to review for you, and I hope to see you all in a future video. Goodbye for now.